What is happening, everybody? This is Nathaniel here, and I'm here to read to you Leadership Strategy and Tactics by Jocko Willink. Section 1, Foundations. First Platoon, detach. It was within my first platoon that I learned the power of being able to teach myself from the chaos and mayhem going on. Take a step back and see what was actually happening. I was lucky that it happened the way it did. We're trained to assault offshore oil rigs in the Persian Gulf. Oil platforms could be taken over by the enemy forces for a variety of reasons, and we need to be able to take them back. SEALs had been prepared for operations against Iranian-controlled oil rigs in the region since the 1980s. And the thought was that it might have to do it again. So, we trained and prepared to execute the very specific mission. We could spend time into training exercises and mock-up operations on commercial oil rig platforms in various locations. It was a great training, mainly because oil platforms are incredibly complex and dangerous structures. Many parts of an oil platform are highly flammable and under massive pressure. So, we had to learn to be cautious in the event if we ever did a real mission on an oil platform. During the real mission, we had live ammunition and explosive charges used to open the doors. We would obviously need to make sure we understood the danger involved. But what really makes an oil platform a challenging target is the complexity of the structure itself. It is a maze of stairwells and hallways and rooms, and open areas covered with equipment. And unlike any other target SEALs might encounter, it is a true three-dimensional problem because many of the floors are made of heavy metal grating that you can see through. So it is very difficult to conceal your movement. And the enemy threat is high because the enemy can see you from a great distance away. After all, they can see through the floors too. As a new guy, I was doing my best. Yeah, trying to make the right moves, you know? At the right time, listening to the tactical calls being made by the leadership, and trying to support those calls. But at this point, in our pre-development workup cycle, the platoon had already been through a lot together. We had completed a full cycle, and a land warfare training, done extensive close-quarters combat training, and executed urban training, reconnaissance training, and various air and maritime training. So, while I was still a new guy, most of the other new guys and I certainly begun to understand the tactics we were being taught. As for me, my individual skills were nothing special. I was not the best shot, not the fastest at reloading my weapon, and definitely not setting any records on the combat swimming training dives we conducted. But I did feel pretty good about the tactics we were shown and how they worked. watched them make their tactical decisions and tried to understand why they made the choices they did. But I was still the new guy. It certainly wasn't my place to make the tactical calls or tell the people what to do. Then, during the clearance of the oil rig, something happened. They hadn't happened before. As we were moving through the structure, the whole platoon encountered an area of the rig and became overwhelmed with that was in front of them. It was a large level platform covered with mechanical gear and equipment. Which, as you can imagine, created numerous hiding areas for the enemy personnel and presented a complex tactical problem. We just stood there side by side, looking down the sights of our weapons at the potential enemy threats. Like an old-fashioned skirmishing eye. I stood there with the rest of the platoon, scanning for targets and trying to identify dangerous, high-pressure, or flammable areas, while I waited for a call to be made, conducting our next move. I waited a little longer, still scanning, thinking someone needed to make a call, so we could know what to do next. I waited even longer. Still nothing. Out of the peripheral vision, I saw the guys to my left and to my right, all doing the same thing. I was holding their weapons in the ready position, scanning for targets, and waiting for the call. But the call still didn't come. I waited a little longer until finally I had had enough. I developed into the high port position, meaning I pointed it in a safe direction towards the sky and away from threats. When I took a half step back off the firing line and looked to my left and to my right, it was pain to see every person in the platoon, including the platoon commander, the platoon chief, the assistant platoon commander, and the leading petty officer was pointing his weapon towards the threat, scanning for targets, but no one was looking anywhere else. They could only see the field of view down the sight of their weapons. No one had any situational awareness of anything going on. Yet, even as a slowly new guy, I could see the whole situation with complete clarity. When I was on the line looking down my gun, I was only seeing what was directly in front of my field of fire too. Now that I had stepped back and looked around, I could see the entire deck, all its obstacles, and the simplest way to clear it. By stepping back, I had detached myself mentally, and physically, and spiritually, and emotionally from the immediate problem. And now it was easy for me to see the solution. Clearer than ever, the more experienced SEALs in my platoon. I took a breath and paused another second to confirm no one else was going to move. look around or make a call. No one was moving. The platoon was frozen. I had to do something. Hold left! Hold right! I barked, in as authoritative a voice as I could muster. Even as I said, I half experienced someone took over. See, it was me. A new guy, trained to make a call and tell me to shut my mouth. Instead, each member of the platoon did what we are always trained to do when we hear a verbal command. They passed the word. Hold left, move right. Hold left, move right. The word repeated down the line. As the word was passed, it simultaneously turned into action. The guys on the left of the deck held their position, scanning for targets, covering the threat as the guys on the right began to move to push through the clear area on the right flank. This was not a complex tactical call. It was standard cover and move procedure that we had practiced and rehearsed countless times. And as soon as the guys had it, they did it. As they executed the movement, I realized something was very powerful. I realized that the high portioning my weapon, stepping back off the firing line and looking around, by detaching physically, even if only by a few inches, and more important, detaching mentally from the problem at hand. I was able to see indefinitely more than anyone else in my platoon. And since I was able to see everything, I was able to make a good decision, which allowed me, the new guy, and most of the junior guy in the platoon, to lead. The cellar deck was soon cleared, and we continued to move through the ring, clearing the remaining levels. No one complained or objected to my decision, and once we completed the run, one or more of the senior guys actually told me I had made the good call. My platoon's reaction reinforced this idea of detaching, and I began to do it as much as often as I could. It wasn't easy. Sometimes I would still get caught up focusing on things immediately in front of me. But at a minimum, I became aware of it. Then I made it my goal to never be completely caught up in the masculine, tactical aspects of a problem. My goal was to get to the higher mental and physical altitude to see more. Well, that is going to conclude it for today of leadership, strategy, and tactics. Join us next week. Actually, probably tomorrow, but you never know. It sounds cool that way. For when we'll read more.